Now, she may have been turned down by her school choir, but thankfully it didn't stop. Imagine this, Dua Lipa was turned down by the school choir. She still managed to pursue a rather successful career in music.
Yeah, it's a bit like the guy turned down the Beatles, isn't it? Whoever made that decision, the choir person. The Grammy Award-winning pop superstar has got a busy summer ahead with a main slot at Glastonbury, the third album released tomorrow. Our music correspondent Mark Savage has been meeting her.
Dua Lipa.
Hey.
How are you?
I'm so good, Mark. How are you?
I'm really well, thank you. All the better for having heard your new album, Radical Optimism. I have this here. They say the music industry is full of sharks, and there they are. I didn't know they were literal sharks.
And I'm sitting there very calm, you know, in the midst of something quite scary and dangerous.
That's the whole theory behind the title, right? Tell me how you came up with it.
So Radical Optimism came to me through a friend of mine who I was having a conversation with him, and he was like, you know what the world needs? Goes radical optimism. And that term had just stayed with me for so long. I think the idea of resilience and pushing through, and when things feel like they aren't going well, to know that it's not the end.
And the first two singles, Houdini and Training Season, they almost feel like they're partner songs. Because in both you're saying, I have certain standards, and if you don't meet them, I'm off.
I'm off.
How much do you stick to that?
I think you have your, like, non-negotiables. I think before I would see a red flag and I would be like, oh, how beautiful, you know? And
what's a red flag for you?
I don't know, it can be anything. It can be like one sly, demeaning comment that you brush off and you don't think it's as important as it might be. And then you realize that it's like a pattern.
And the album does talk a lot about dating. I'm interested in what dating is like for you at this point in your life. There's a Janet Jackson song, All For You, where she sings about people being afraid to approach her because of who she is. Do you find that?
I don't know, maybe. I think, I don't know, I like to go on a friend recommendation. I think it makes it easier when they're
Better than a dating app.
Vetted.
Yeah.
Dating apps for me, I don't think would work.
People might recognise the profile picture.
They might, or they might think they're being catfished or something.
Yeah. Can I take you back a bit?
Yeah.
Because recently, with Greg James at Radio 1, you went back and visited your old school.
I did, yeah.
Is that the school where you didn't make it into the choir?
That is the school I didn't make it into the choir.
How did that happen?
So I went into assembly. It was me in front of all the classes, and I get up and I decide that I'm going to sing, and he plays the music, and I'm trying to hit this high note, and nothing comes out. Like, literally air.
Right.
And everyone in assembly laughs. And
That sounds like a nightmare I've had.
it's really like a nightmare. And he was like, oh, it's okay, maybe next time. And I was so embarrassed in the moment, and I just sat back down and I was like, all right, never mind. But I always love to sing.
And on this album, I feel like your vocals have grown again. Like you're singing more powerfully, I think, and your upper register is stronger.
Oh, it's so much stronger. I mean, the voice is it's a muscle. And I trained it for a whole year, every night, while basically running at the same time. It was such an energetic show. I was dancing non-stop for an hour and a half. I had to really figure out my breath control. I feel like I no longer have the fears I did when I went on my first tour of losing my voice. I felt like, oh, if the AC's on, then I'm going to get sick. If I didn't drink my tea, then maybe something might happen or whatever. And I felt like I kept straining my own voice to the point where then I would lose it out of stress or nerves, or I just didn't have the confidence. And now I get up every morning, I can do my job, I know what I'm doing, I know what's required of me.
There's a big date on the calendar, June the 28th.
Oh, yeah.
Friday night at Glastonbury, you're headlining. How much does that occupy your thoughts on a day-to-day basis?
50% of my thought goes to Glastonbury, and then the rest for every other day tasks. It lives and has lived in my mind since the very beginning.
All right, are you guys ready to sing with me?
The last time you played Glastonbury was 2017, and I remember you standing on the barriers, arm in the air,
Yeah.
the crowd chanting "Be the one" back at you.
Now I'm gonna add something on and you guys keep doing what you're doing. Be the one, be the one.
I mean, it was the most surreal performance of my life. It's a festival that I love, that I've been to just as a fan. To have the opportunity to get up on stage, Pyramid stage, Friday night, that's very important because then I get to party Saturday, Sunday.
Exactly. The pressure's off.
Exactly.
Back in 2017, you used to get the audience up on stage to do Blow Your Mind.
Yeah.
Can you do that with 150,000 people?
It might be tight. I gotta figure out a way to make 150,000 people feel like they're in a small little nightclub somehow. I gotta do it. If there's one place to do it, it's gotta be Glasgow.
I'm dualipa, and I'll see you soon.
So good to see a really long conversation with such a big star.
Yeah, she's very relaxed and completely engaged.
Very
and it
composed.
brings it home, doesn't it? The idea of performing in front of 150,000 people.
I'm sure she's going to do a great job. The full interview, Dua Lipa, headlining Glastonbury, is right now on the BBC iPlayer for you to watch.